to come to an AMI meeting and meet all of you and get to share some information with you. Yes, I did live in Buffalo. And the story goes that I was living and going to school in Buffalo. We moved away, we went back to Buffalo. And I woke up one morning and I said to my husband, "What the hell are we doing?" And we moved to Miami. And we've been here for 30 years. So I've been in our community for a while now. And mental health is my chosen profession. And, but that being said, I'm human like everybody else, and I'm a family member to people that have substance use. I've experienced depression myself. So I'd just like to share that with you because I want to even the playing field. We're all really the same. Some of us have more information than others, and what I'm going to be sharing with you here tonight is about Social Security, how to apply. And this is really one of my favorite things to talk about, because if I can help you to get rid of those myths and understand what the process is, it will make a lot more sense. And in the process of applying for Social Security, you're going to understand a lot more. So with that being said, how many of you have had experience applying for Social Security? So most of the people in this room, right? And, you know, before I knew anything about it, I would imagine that you fill out an application, you bring it to the window at Social Security, and that's that, right? Well, there's so much more to it. So unfortunately, we don't have our slides, and I'm just going to be looking at the computer to keep track of what I need to tell you so I don't leave anything out, okay? So we know that access to SSI and SSDI is important for a couple of reasons, right? Why do you think it's important? What's important about getting those benefits?
Housing.
Housing.
Independence.
Independence, yes. What else?
Medication.
Get health insurance so that you can get your medication, right? And having some money in your pocket, income. So Social Security benefits provides us with the ability to access housing, access some type of income, and also health insurance. Now, do you know what the eligibility is for Social Security? And the eligibility is that you must have legal documentation of citizenship or permanent residence, okay? You also have to have a documented disability. And then there's one other factor. You have to be unable to work. A disability and then being unable to work. It's very important to keep that in mind, because if you just think that you can hand in an application, what does that application say about your ability to work? Nothing, right? And we're going to talk more about it. So SSI is Supplemental Security Income. The benefit rate here in Florida right now is $733 a month, and it will provide Medicaid here in Florida. SSDI is Social Security Disability Insurance, and the amount of the benefit is dependent on how much you've already paid into it, what your earnings were that you paid into the Social Security system, and Medicare is provided after 2 years of eligibility. So if you get approved for SSDI today, your Medicare probably won't kick in for 2 years. And the disability determination process is the same for both SSI and SSDI. And in fact, it gets very confusing because if you make an application, sometimes applicants get a letter in the mail that says that they've been denied. But it may mean that you've only been denied for SSDI. That letter comes first because the Social Security Administration always rules out SSDI first. Okay, has that ever happened to anybody? Yeah.
But it's true if the letter came from the state of Florida.
I'm sorry, I didn't hear you.
The letter did not come from Social Security, it came from an agency of the state of Florida.
Well, that's interesting. So anyway, we know that the application process is very difficult, right? It seems very overwhelming, but it's especially overwhelming for people that may experience a mental health challenge. Because there's so many pieces of paper, there's so many things that you have to do. So we know that it's especially difficult for people that may have a mental health challenge and a co-occurring substance use disorder. Because substance use disorders are not eligible for Social Security benefits. So when you mix that all up, it gets very tricky. We also know that people that are homeless have a really difficult time applying for Social Security because if they don't have an address, how is the Social Security office going to communicate with them? So it's especially difficult. So, only 27% of all people that apply for Social Security benefits across all disability groups are approved on the initial application. What does that mean? That means that 70% are denied. Denied on that initial application. And we know, and I'm sure you can tell me all about it, that appeals take a very long time, may take years. And that means people are going without these benefits while that appeal process is in place, right? So it's very, very difficult. What I have learned, yes?
Is there any way that you can be eligible for SSDI, the Social Security Disability, if you're a dependent over 18, but you've never been independent, you've never really worked? Can you get it under your family or your parents?
Yes, there are benefits for people, and this is not my expertise, but there are benefits for, like if your parent got it and your parent is deceased, things like that, you mean?
Well, except that the child is the one that's got the mental disability, but since if they've never been able to work, let's say they've had a mental illness,
Then they would get SSI.
so there's no way they would be eligible for SSDI.
They may be eligible for SSDI if their parent was disabled or deceased.
No, that's not okay. You answered.
So we know that this is a very complex process, and we know that in order to be approved, you need to do a very good job of making an assessment of that disability and how that disability will impact the ability to work. Okay? We always have to connect the dots. You can't just say, oh yes, I'm disabled. You need to provide documentation, and then you have to provide documentation of functional limitations to work. So, I'm sure many of you have worked along with community providers, right? Community mental health centers, your doctors, and it would be really nice if they could help in this process. What has your experience been with those community providers? Have they been helpful to you? No. I like stir you up a little bit. And the reason is, there's a lot of different reasons for that, but staff at these community mental health centers need to be trained on how to do this right and how to do it right the first time. The issue for many of the staff at the community mental health centers is that their priority is helping people to meet their basic needs. And when you have somebody that needs medication, needs housing, needs whatever, it's very difficult to focus on this application process because it's not easy. It takes a lot more work than just filling out that application and handing it in at the window. But I'm going to tell you what you need and what the process is so that you have more information when you're going about it. I'm also here to tell you that I developed a unit where I work where we have people that are only doing these applications. Because I knew that the case managers that worked for me just truly didn't have enough time to complete the process. So we wrote a grant to have people staff this unit that only does this work, apply for Social Security benefits. And I think that in the future you're going to see more and more of this because it makes good sense to do it this way. My project has a 90% approval rating in about 40 days. Now we know that that is unheard of, and we know that we are well above the national average. But our staff are trained on how to do it, what to do, what information they need to submit, and how to follow up. So I guess I'm telling you that, not just to toot my own horn, but to tell you that if you do it right the first time, you can make this process work. I'm not a rocket scientist. I'm just following a recipe. And if you follow that same recipe, you can do it too. We all know that if you bake a pound cake, right? I have this, this example. I once made a pound cake. I put in the eggs, I put in the flour, I put in the vanilla, I put in all of that, and I melted the butter in the microwave, and I forgot about it. So when I baked this cake, it kind of crumbled into pieces. It just didn't hold together, right? So my point to you is if you follow the recipe and you connect the dots, anyone can have a successful outcome. We use a model called SOAR, and that stands for SSI/SSDI, Outreach, Access, and Recovery. Now, I'm not telling you to go out and become SOAR trained. I don't think you need that. But if you listen to the essential ingredients that go into this recipe and you know what's expected to get an approval, you can also follow this. So, the components of what we do with SOAR is that a person that's helping, assisting the applicant will become their representative. Now this is very different from being a representative payee. This is just a representative for the Social Security process. And what this allows you to do is to speak to Social Security and the Division of Disability Determination. So it's like a release of information. When Social Security is contacting the applicant, they're also going to contact you. Now I know for many family members, this can be very helpful because you no longer will be in the dark. You'll know exactly what's going on. It's also very important to get all treatment records, to get all necessary assessments, and also to write a medical summary report that would pull all the pieces together. Those are the components of what we do to make an application to Social Security.
What was the second thing?
Second thing?
Treatment records after treatment?
Any assessments, any documentation that there may be. Now, what we have found over time is, as the representative, you have to be able to look at the medical information. Because very often the medical information will not support your application. It may say, person attended day treatment on this date, this date, this date. Came in to see the doctor on this date, right? It doesn't talk about the disability and the resulting impairments from the disability. And that's what Social Security needs to see. So do you understand what I mean? If you have a disability, if you have some type of schizophrenia, Social Security has a listing. You can find it on Google. Go to Social Security listings. In the Social Security listings, you will find mental impairments. Under mental impairments, you're going to find disabilities. Let's say it was schizophrenia. Schizophrenia, it will tell you right there what the recipe is. It will say, if you have schizophrenia, you will have these symptoms, okay? And in order for you to be qualified for Social Security, you have to have 2 from Group A and 2 from Group B and whatever else it is. But the recipe is stated right there. I just don't remember it off the top of my head. But you have to follow it. So as the representative, getting back to that, if you're going to be helping to submit the application, you have to know what you're submitting. My case managers are trained to look for that, right? If you're, let's say, are disabled and you have a diagnosis of schizophrenia, you may be taking a certain class of drugs, right? Now, I have seen this before, that the documentation that's being submitted doesn't match with the medication that the person is taking. Guess what happens to those applications? Wrong answer. Now, that's only part of it. It also has to have a disability, will have symptoms, right? A diagnosis will have symptoms of the illness. You'll find them on the listings, right? And the symptoms will result in impairments that impede the ability to work. So you see how we're connecting the dots? The disability will result in symptoms of an illness that will result in functional limitations that will impede the ability to work. So it all fits together. It's a matter of connecting those dots and providing that documentation. That's what it's about. I think I got ahead of myself. So let me tell you what the process is. You submit an inquiry to the Social Security office, and that establishes a protective filing date, right? The next step is that the individual hands in the applications. You can do it electronically now, or you can do it at the Social Security office. The Social Security office will determine the non-medical information. And what I mean by non-medical is they'll make sure that you've completed the documents sufficiently. You provided all of the information, where you live, when your illness started, whatever is on those initial forms, okay? Once that is satisfied, that application will fly through the air to the Division of Disability Determination. And that is a state-run organization that will determine whether you get approved or not. Did you know that? Some people knew that. So you hand your application in at Social Security, they check off all the boxes, they take your application, it flies to the secret place, and literally it's a secret place. They will not meet with you, they will not talk to you, they don't want to know you, they will never meet your applicant, you will never be able to see them. Okay, but if you are the person's representative, you can request to speak to that adjudicator, the Disability Determination Adjudicator, Division of Disability Determination, DDD, or sometimes it's called DDS. Those are the people that make the decisions. So when you're submitting medical documentation, that's where it goes. You get a barcode, you'll actually be sent the barcode, just like is on food packages, and that's how they collect all of the medical information in an electronic file. As the representative, you can find out, you can call an 800 number, find out who the adjudicator is, and you can talk to the adjudicator and say to the adjudicator, what information do you need so that you can approve this case? Did you have a question?
Yeah, what is it called?
The,
Secret place?
the Division of Disability Determination. That's a state-run organization, not federal. So SSA is a federal organization. DDD or DDS, it's different in different states, is a state-run organization.
So if you get disability in one state, then you move.
You would go to the Social Security office, because the only thing that disability determination does is they determine whether the application will be approved or not. They deal with the medical evidence.
So if you're approved in one state, doesn't necessarily means that you will be approved.
If you're approved in one state, you can transfer your disability to another state. You have to go to the Social Security office and let them do that work. But if you're approved in one state, you are approved. Okay? So,
In order to get it, I've been denied a few times, because I've been trying to get it since 1990.
well, okay. Okay, so then can we talk about that? Okay. So what we know is that you have to have a documented disability. That means a doctor you have to have records from a doctor that says that you have some type of disability that's in the listings, the Social Security listings. So you can go online and you can search for SSA listings. Whatever your diagnosis is, you look it up and you say, can you check off that you have the symptoms? Do you meet the recipe? Okay? Because having the documentation of that disability alone is not good enough. There are people that have been diagnosed with schizophrenia that are able to work, live full and productive lives, and are able to work. So now you have to prove that you're unable to work. And in those listings, there are 4 functional areas. And you have to be able to prove that you meet 2 of the functional areas. And the functional areas, they just recently changed, but generally speaking, they're about, do you have daily living skills? Can you get along daily? Do you have social skills? Do you have cognitive thinking, feeling skills? And have you been hospitalized so often that you cannot work? Now, those functional areas have to relate to why you can't work. Because if you just go in and say, yeah, I've been diagnosed with a bipolar disorder, it's not good enough. We have to connect the dots and talk about how that bipolar disorder and the symptoms of the bipolar disorder impede your ability to work. So you see, you can't just go hand in the application. You have to fit all this information in, and also you have to make sure that the information matches. Remember before I said, well, sometimes you get clinical records, and the clinical records don't say anything. They say that you attended a doctor's appointment. That's not good enough. And what we have to do where I work sometimes is to go back to the treatment provider and ask them to provide more information. If the doctor or the ANRP, because ANRPs right now can provide this information, you have to be able to give more information.
It would have to be, it's got to be more than one documentation from the doctor, right? I mean, you have to have a trail. Because I was diagnosed with schizophrenia and depression, Jackson Mental Health, Jackson. They put me on Propion and Beautify. I don't know, I don't think I got on, but they that's what they had said that I was, so that's documentation.
You have to have the documentation.
Okay.
And not only that you have the disability, but how it impacts, how those symptoms of the illness impact your ability to work. Let's say you're taking medication that makes you so sleepy that you can't wake up in the morning. That needs to be documented, because if you can't wake up in the morning, you can't go to work. Let's say you can't get along with other people, okay? Because you have mood swings, and one minute that you're maybe fine, and then the next minute you're angry. How would that impact your ability to work? You can't hold a job because you can't get along with your coworkers, or you can't take directions from your boss because you have difficulties with authority because you don't want people to tell you what to do. You see, it all has to fit together. I'm going to go here, and then I'll come back to you.
I guess you started talking about what I was saying. If someone works for a few months, when they have to stop, they start again, if that, because at first, I mean, they can work, but not for a long period of time, you always end up with cannot continue. Can that qualify at all?
Yes, it can qualify, because if you're absent from a job more often than you can work, an employer doesn't want you. Employers want people that can stay on the job, but that has to be documented. You have to be able to say, so-and-so got a job in September and held that job for 4 weeks until he was hospitalized. Got another job in October and held that job for 1 week until he was hospitalized. So a series of illnesses whether it's a mental health challenge or not, it could be a physical challenge. If it keeps you from working, that needs to be documented.
You talked about the hospitalization supports. Now, sometimes, especially in the case that I deal with, we have like a dual diagnosis. We have mental illness and we also have an addiction issue. So
Okay, I haven't even gotten to the addiction issue.
yeah, but the concern I have is hospitalization. A lot of hospitalization being vapour-active because of being whacked out with drugs. So would that qualify or how?
Okay, so let me talk a little bit about substance use, okay? Because substance use is not a disability in the Social Security listings. So it gets very murky because remember, those people that work for the Division of Disability Determination, they're happy to deny anybody's application. And if you have a substance use disorder, that's not going to qualify. So you have to be able to prove and document that the mental health issue is the primary disorder. And if you took away the substance use disorder, would that person still have a mental health disorder? You see? And then you have to prove that. So how do you prove that? The way you prove that is that when a person is clean, and you don't have to be clean and sober to make an application, but the way you document this is when the person is clean and sober, they still experience the symptoms of their mental illness as evidenced by whatever it is, even when they're clean and sober. It makes it much more difficult to get those applications approved, but it's doable. Most of the people that we work with in the Criminal Mental Health Project have mental health challenges and co-occurring substance use disorders. The thing is, you have to know how to put it together, how to follow the recipe, and be able to not only document it, but to verbalize it. You have to create a chain. So you can make an application if a person is not clean and sober. But you have to be able to document that mental health is the primary disorder and provide the evidence. Yes?
Yeah, I have a question. This is related to Social Security disability. There's margin ads, there's paper ads. But I wanted to ask, at the end of, the day, really, this is all about me, whether my mental health is, whether, my substance abuse is. Does it depend on anybody else whether I should or I shouldn't get the Social Security disability? I explain myself. Whose ultimate decision is to get a Social Security disability?
The Division of Disability Determination makes the decision. You have to provide the evidence that you have a documented disability according to the listings, and that you, as a result of this disability, you have symptoms of your illness that impede your ability to work. That's what it is. And the people at Social Security, where you hand in the application, don't make the decision. It's these people in a little office that you don't know where they are. Those are the people that make the decision. Yes?
And frequently, if not always, I don't know, but I know that frequently they will send an applicant to their own doctor for evaluation before. Also, are you?
And let me tell you why. The reason that they use consultative exams, sending people to their own doctor, is because they don't have enough information. Now, what do we know when you're going to meet somebody new, right? You've never met that person before. You say, the person says, "Hi, how are you today? How are you?" "Pretty good, how are you?" They're pretty good. They don't need disability. Goodbye. Done. Finished. Finished. They're good. Right? Right? Good. So, would it surprise you if I told you that in my program, over the past 10 years, we've had 2 consultative exams? Because I don't want it to go to a consultative exam. That doctor doesn't know my person. I know my person. And I'm going to give them all the information they need. And I'm going to call up that adjudicator at disability determination. I'm going to say, "What else do you need from me to approve this case?" You see, it's a very proactive approach. I'm not waiting for them. I'm after them all the time. I tell my staff, "You call these people up every day." And they say, "No, Cindy, no, please, we don't want to call every day." I say, "Okay, then call every 2 days." But you make it proactive and you get after them and you get the results because we want to do this right. I know that the people I work with need this benefit in order to get housing, health insurance, and some money in their pocket, right? So that means that we have to do it right.
I'm not sure, but I don't think you understood my question. Let me try myself. In the moment I got a job today, that's what I'm asking.
You got a job today.
And I want, right? I am bipolar. I have a mental disorder, you know. But I've always been excited about working, you know. I don't know if in the future, maybe 10 years from now, maybe that's the things, you know, I have to work with disability. Can someone obligate to get a disability? You know what I mean?
No.
Legal is.
No.
Thank you.
They don't want to give it to you. Believe me. They don't want to give it to you.
Right.
And if you want to work, we want you to work. We want you to be productive and be the best person you could ever be. We want you to live the life of your dreams. Right? Now, I'm going to just digress for a minute. I don't know what time it is, but I want to digress for a minute. Do you folks know the 5 key concepts of recovery? I'm going to tell you. The first key concept in recovery is hope. You have to have hope for what you want in your own life. You have to have hope that things can be just the way you want them. The second key concept is personal responsibility. What are you willing to achieve that dream, that hope for your future? The third key concept is education. What information do you need so that you can take the personal responsibility to achieve your dream and your hope? The fourth key concept is self-advocacy. Once you have that information, speaking up for yourself, being able to tell other people what it is that you need and you want and what you're willing to do. And then the fifth key concept is support. And support is not only family and friends, but it's opportunities so that you can achieve your hope for the future. And I'm sharing this with you now because for those of you that are living with a mental health challenge, this is up to you. Your dreams are your own. What you're willing to do to achieve them is up to you. And I appreciate all the family members that we have here because those 5 key concepts apply to all of us. in all aspects of our life, because each one of us will have a life challenge at some time. So anyway, I got off the subject. So anyway, let me go back to the process,
I
yes.
have one more thing.
Okay.
For people who've been receiving SSI, are you going to mention that if that person, those people, if they're in a situation, say, in a hospital, in jail, something for a certain period of time, they will have to reapply for SSI?
So the story goes that if you are in jail for more than 30 days, your Social Security benefits may be suspended for the next year. If you don't get them back within that year, you have to reapply.
But also, I'm talking about my son for starters. He was in a mental health hospital for 2 years.
Oh, then he has to, yeah.
And he had to reapply.
Anything past a year,
Yes, right.
you have to reapply. But if your son was in a hospital, you're going to have the medical documentation you need to go back to Social Security and reapply, and perhaps even to get a presumptive eligibility.
Well,
That's a whole nother story.
yeah.
Okay. So anyway, let me just finish this, folks, because remember, you went to the Social Security office, you put in your application, it flew through the air, it went to the Division of Disability Determination. They make a decision. Do you think they're the ones that tell you? No. Then it goes back to Social Security, okay? And Social Security will notify the applicant. So that's the process. I think that we already talked about how we make the link to work. It's very important. Just the documentation of your illness is not enough. And we have a question from my friend.
Yes, I was getting disability for 6 months as an emergency, and just stopped this year on February, and they told me that I had to wait till they make a decision. Can you explain to me anything about that?
You know what, I would need more information that if you got a presumptive eligibility, that means that you submit some documentation in the beginning, and the Social Security office says, oh yeah, it looks like this person's going to be eligible for Social Security. But it's still up to you to continue to provide as much information as they need. Is that what happened?
They just told me they gave me, it was only for 6 months, until now I just have to be patient and wait till they make a decision if I'm disabled or not. That's the
You know, I don't understand that, so I think that,
It's strange.
well, one of the things that does happen to a lot of people is that we know that it goes through the Division of Disability Determination, and my staff will say to those adjudicators, because they're not allowed to tell you whether it's going to be approved or not, but my staff will say, will we be happy with your decision? And they say, yes, we think they'll be happy. But then it goes into a quality review. And the quality review can take months. So that may be where you're at. You may be at a quality review. I wouldn't know unless I saw the documentation.
Can you explain quality review? Because my daughter has the benefits and they took it away. So now we're in the process of appealing. And because we didn't reply within the first 10 days, now we have to go to a hearing, and we're waiting for the hearing date.
So that's different than a quality review.
Okay.
Okay, so if she was getting Social Security
She's getting SSDI and she had Medicare.
and she had Medicare, and how long was she getting it for?
She was diagnosed in 2007, 8, something like that. And it took a long time to be approved. So in the meantime, I took her to a community health center. got.
Right, but then once she got approved,
When she got approved.
how long has she been on it?
We had to wait 2 years for the Medicare,
Right, so she was on it for more than 2 years.
more than 2 years.
And then you got a letter in the mail that said that you had to document that she continued to be disabled. And you didn't take care of that letter.
Yes, they sent 2 of them, one to her and one to me. And then we both filled them out and sent them back. But the questions on there don't really ask what you're saying. They don't ask how she's limited in, from being able to work. So they said, they denied her and said that she is able to work. So now we're in the waiting to go to the hearing.
They're tricky, those people. They're really tricky. And you need to be giving, well, you're already in the appeals process, and it takes a long time.
Yeah, they told me there was a wait like 4 months.
4 months, that's not bad. That's pretty good, actually.
I think that's pretty easier. We went through the whole situation, skin and
It can take years.
It took about a year.
That's what they told me, I don't know, it's been like almost 3.
But you have to prove that actually the appeal process
The
actually.
thing that you should be doing now is collecting all of your documentation. The doctors, the psychiatric evaluations, if she's seeing a therapist, the therapist needs to document.
She refuses to see therapy.
You're gonna have problems then, because somebody needs to be able to
She's not a
document.
psychiatrist.
Then the psychiatrist needs to document that she has these symptoms, and as a result, she has these functional impairments that impede her ability to work. You need to collect that information. And also, if she's had hospitalization,
Yes.
you need to collect all of that, make sure you
Just
have it.
recently
Right. And anyone can go online and take a SOAR online training. The SOAR online training will give you all the information you need to know about the Social Security and disability process. SOAR, S-O-A-R. My PowerPoint will be available to you. I'll make sure that I include that. But if you go to prainc.com/SOAR, you'll be able to go to the SOAR website. Anyone can take the online training and learn how to do this.
Can you repeat that word?
We will have this on our website,
That'd be easier.
and we are videotaping this, so all of you know that this will be on our website and on our YouTube channel.
Yeah, what's the website though? What's the website?
So we'll give that to you a little bit later.
So let me just go through a couple of more slides and then I'll answer more questions, okay? Because I want to make sure that you're getting the essence of all of this. And again, I'm going to say it because it's the most important thing. The disability determination people are going to be saying, can this person work? Okay, that's the big question. And you have to make a link between the illness and the person's ability or impairment impede their functional capacity limitations. Okay? You need to make sure that all the medical documentation fits together. I had somebody come to me a couple of years ago and she said to me, Cindy, I don't understand why, but all the people that come to me that are diagnosed with a bipolar disorder are being denied. I said, bring me one record and I'll go through the entire record and I'll find why. The person that she brought to me was taking medication for ADHD. ADHD was all over that person's record. It wasn't a bipolar disorder. And ADHD is not in the listings for adults. Okay? So you have to be careful of what's in these medical records. You have to be able to see them. We talked about substance use. Was I clear on that?
Yes, ma'am.
Substance use is not in the listings. A person must have a primary diagnosis of a mental health disorder or a physical disorder, primarily. Substance use can be secondary, but again, you have to document that without those substances, the person would still have a mental illness.
What about chemical imbalance with it?
I'm sorry, I didn't hear you.
Chemical imbalance along with that.
A what?
Chemical imbalance.
Chemical imbalance.
I don't know what you mean.
Chemical imbalance is the way that you're balanced, right?
Well, what's the diagnosis?
That's what they say.
But that's not a diagnosis. You see what I'm saying? You have to be very specific. You can't just say, I want to apply for Social Security because I have a chemical imbalance.
That's what I want to know.
No, you can't do that. It's not a diagnosis.
That was the information that I had.
Right, but now you know you have to go get specific information. And remember, there are listings that you can go online and see what they are. You could have schizophrenia, bipolar disorder, other disorders, okay? But none of those disorders will be labeled as chemical disorder. You have to know exactly what the disorder is.
When we went tried to, but they said it's either competent or incompetent.
That's different. That's a legal term. That's a legal term.
Okay.
So you have to know what your diagnosis is. Is this about substance use? Because I want to get through substance use.
Well, if a person has like possession of illegal substance, would that
Was
interfere?
arrested.
Yeah. Would that interfere with trying to get SSI?
No. If you had a diagnosis, a mental health diagnosis, right? And you were arrested for possession of drug paraphernalia, we would have to be able to say, this person has been diagnosed with schizophrenia, bipolar disorder, whatever. And if you take away the drugs, this person would still have a mental illness. So even if you were clean and sober, you still experience the symptoms of the mental illness.
What if the drug was like self-medicating, like a person that suffers from PTSD and was caught with Xanax?
Right. You still have to prove that you have a mental health diagnosis. People self-medicate all the time.
And you would have to prove also the is it good to prove the incident, the cause, the hospital records, the cause of PTSD?
I don't want to get into the specifics of that. Just know that if you see a doctor and you're diagnosed with a mental health disorder, that's got to be your primary disorder. If you have a psychotic episode because you took 15 Xanax, I don't even know if that could happen, and then you stop taking the Xanax, and you're going to be fine, right? You won't be eligible. Let's say you're an alcoholic, okay? And as an alcoholic, you drink until you pass out, whatever. But once you stop drinking, you're fine. You won't be eligible, okay? Let me just finish this, okay?
Does it take only one diagnosis, or you gotta have
You
more?
can have many. Okay, so I talked to you about that. If you're going to be helpful, like in your daughter's case, you may want to compile all the information into a medical summary that lists everything that you think the disability determination people would need to know, or the people at the appeal level would need to know. And if you get your doctor or your ANRP to sign it, it becomes medical evidence.
It's an ARP.
Nurse practitioner. Okay?
Online it says, I was looking at it, and it said, just list doctor. I didn't do anything. And it said, list doctors, but it said, don't give summaries, just list the names.
I'm telling you, give a summary. Not in the application.
Okay.
when you get to the Division of Disability Determination. Don't give Social Security anything, they lose it. Okay, they lose everything. Don't give Social Security anything. When it flies through the air over to the Division of Disability Determination, that's when you submit the medical records or a summary or anything you want. Pictures are good. You want to put things into the person's language.
And would you suggest photocopies? Always send photocopies and keep a copy of the original.
Absolutely.
Yes. You're scanning everything these days anyway.
There you go.
So, you know.
If someone has.
But this is what I want you to know about the Division of Disability Determination. They will never meet your person. They will never meet you. So you have to paint a picture of how much you need this entitlement. Okay?
If you're awarded disabilities, and then down the road, the person has had continual treatment and feels that they are capable of working and want to work, will have them had disabilities impede that possibility? I mean, will that be a bad mark for someone to be?
How would anybody know? Nobody would ever know.
That was a question.
Nobody knows.
It gets complicated, you know.
That's a whole nother discussion on whether you want to self-disclose. And I'm not an expert on that, okay? But
What was the question?
the question was, would a person be penalized or discriminated against because they have accepted Social Security benefits? Is that
That had it, and then they feel, I can do this, I can now work.
And you know, I want to address that because in our program, you know, we are a recovery-based program. I believe that everybody can live their dream. I really do. It's up to you. But when you come to me and you say, I want to apply for Social Security benefits because I'm homeless, I can't get medication because I don't have health insurance, I'm going to tell you, for right now, when you're in this process, don't work. As soon as you get the benefit, you want to work, go to work. But you have to follow the rules. And the rules are, if you go to work, once you do have disability benefits, depending on whether you have SSI or SSDI, you can only work so much. So you have to know what the rules are, okay? Because you don't want to lose your health insurance. That's the most important thing. Don't lose the health insurance. So know what the rules are.
Can you elaborate on that, on those rules?
I don't know the rules right off the top of my head, but I think that you can find them online. I know that there's something about a trial work period of 9 months,
Yeah.
and that you have to make less than $1,000 a month, right? But if you really want to know what that is, you need to go online and find that. I'm sorry? You have to report your earnings, otherwise they can cut off your disability. Right. So, I think that I got through the whole presentation. I know you have plenty of questions, and I'm happy to answer them. But what I do want to say before I go, this really works. If you want to go online and find out about this approach called SOAR and what you need to know about applying for Social Security benefits, this really works, but you need to follow the directions. Yes.
I've got two things. One, put money in the pocket. You might also mention food stamps and the eligibility, because that can be part of the package in getting the benefits. And the other, there was a question earlier about getting lawyers to assist, and I understand that you don't want to talk about that, but there are commercial firms that will help you through the process, and I know we did that 10 years ago, and it went through like grease. No problem at all. Didn't cost us a dime.
They take, what, 33%?
Of the award that goes back to 2 years.
Right.
So you get a pile of money, you don't get as much as if you did it by yourself. But I wanted the comfort of minimizing the possibility of denial.
Right, you wanted the peace of mind that somebody was
Yes.
watching and knew what they were doing.
And I have the name of the company we work with, and I won't mention it, but somebody can ask me after if they like.
They only go back 2 years now, right?
Yeah.
That's what I heard. 2 years, that's probably good.
Okay, any other questions?
Yes. To go through the SOAR program, I guess schedule with the courts, to go through you, do they have to be in the court system or can they call your program and work with them?
Unfortunately, right now, I'm very short of staff. I'm only down to one entitlement specialist. Those are my SOAR people. Generally speaking, we serve people in the criminal justice system. The South Florida Behavioral Health Network right now is training people in SOAR across our entire community. There was a meeting this afternoon, this morning for SOAR. There should be workers at each community mental health center right now that know how to use this approach. The person that you would want to talk to at the South Florida Behavioral Health Network is Pam Ford. She's in charge of the SOAR initiative. Also, the Homeless Trust also is working with their providers to ensure that people in the homeless world have the opportunity to get this assistance. But if you needed to call me, you can call me.
And this will be also on our website.
Feel free. I love this work, and I think in my whole career that this has been the most important work that I have done because it helps people to move towards recovery and community integration by providing them with something very tangible. So I think that this is the most important work that I've ever done.
I have a question. Well, first I want to thank you for the presentation, but also I have a question with regards to patient records. Do patients have access to or would they be able to have access if they requested permission to see the notes from their psychiatrist regarding their?
Yes, you can go anywhere and request your own records. You can't request my records, and my mother should, if she was alive, couldn't request my records, but you can request your own records. The only barrier may be they may charge you for it.
And then I guess the follow-up, well, it's kind of related, but I guess a follow-up to that would be if somebody is entering the mental health system, or let's say they just had an episode, or let's say they're in their treatment process, does that at all, would it at all benefit for them to mention to their providers that they are in the process of applying for disability, for SSDI or SS? Would it benefit them in telling their
So this is what I know about that. And I have marketed this to providers that, I serve many people that have no insurance and have no money. And I've gone to providers in the community and I've said to them, if my program makes the application so that you don't do it and we get this person approved in the next 40 days, that's our record, then you can then go and back bill for the Medicaid, should they get SSI. Okay? Yes?
There's a system that you need to be hospitalized in order to be eligible to keep your Medicare SSDI. So someone is chronically disabled and meets those 2 points, but doesn't get hospitalization, will that negate them from continuing to come?
I don't think I understand. Can you stand up? I can't really hear you.
So some people feel that the best way to keep your disabilities to have hospitalizations on your record.
Really?
That's what I heard. So
I never heard that.
Okay. So that means that if you're chronically disabled, you're fine. If you show that you have 2 of those.
If you're under the care of a doctor and you're taking medication and you meet the listings that says you have this disability and that as a result of that disability you have symptoms of the illness, the symptoms of the illness will impact your functional capacity, which will then impact your ability to work. That's what it's all about. It has nothing to do with hospitalization. Hospitalizations may demonstrate and document that you continue to have the disability and then the resulting symptoms and impairments. Right? You see what I mean?
Right,
But you don't need to. Right.
All right, we're gonna take one more question this evening and then close on time.
You know, I have to pat myself on the back here. I have a cold, I'm losing my voice. Okay, who goes?
You mentioned that it takes 2 years to qualify for Medicare or SSDI. What happens? Okay, what happens those 2 years? Do you qualify for Medicaid first?
You may qualify for Medicaid. You may, but you may not.
So what
It
happens?
depends. If you are making on your SSDI more than $733, then you will not qualify for Medicaid. But so if you're bringing in an SSDI check that's $1,001, you will not qualify for Medicaid.
Okay, what if somebody pays for your medical insurance when you're waiting?
That's fine. Because remember, that has nothing to do with it. That has nothing to do with it. You know what? I would love to, but I saw that man in the back. And I'm going to take that last question.
Once you approve, is it a certain time period that they have in order to see towards you receive your benefits?
It's usually a year, but it could be 2 years. You may have to, qualify again, but you don't have to go through the application process. But you may have to send in documentation like happened to your daughter.
Yes, ma'am.
Okay, thank you, everyone.